Nerney.
And Jason Pacheco.
And we're your hosts for Rhode's Real Estate, a podcast about real estate, small business, and the independent spirit.
Small business, yep. So today we're at Mimi's Cafe. Yeah, we're actually here getting some breakfast.
All right, I'm going to have 2 eggs scrambled. You put like a little cheddar cheese on that?
Yeah.
And toast and bacon?
Yeah. You like white toast, sweet, Italian?
Italian's good.
And it comes with home fries as well.
That's fine. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll do I didn't even open the menu, but I'm sure it's like the 2 eggs, the scrambled eggs, toast, and home fries.
Yeah.
I'll,
What kind of toast?
White toast.
White toast. Any
Scrambled
breakfast
eggs.
meat?
No, I'll do no thank you.
No pressure.
thank
No
you.
pressure.
Thank
I'll put it right in for you.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. You want more coffee?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we're at Mimi's Cafe in East Greenwich today. Figured we'd chop it up here, take it on the road, right?
We're on the road.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. You know what I'd like to do though today? I think we could just have a conversation about kind of like a synopsis of what we've experienced so far with our podcast. That was,
Yeah.
You mentioned that. I think that's a good idea. You know what I mean? Maybe not in depth, but just going back over them
Right.
so we can talk about.
So our first one was Kyle, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Kyle Seabeth is our first podcast. Our broker, also like the top broker or whatever, selling real estate agent in, they say nationwide. And when they say that, they're going off of units. They're going off of transaction count. So if he sells a house, that's 1. If he helps someone buy a house, that's 1. So that counts as 2 units sold. And in 2020, maybe he sold like 530 homes, which is insane.
It's insane.
Yeah,
It's
but
crazy.
what did you take away from Kyle's?
Yeah, no, high energy. He's very enthusiastic. I think that he gets across the fact that he's all in. There's no compromise. Like he's definitely all in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he was fun to talk to.
Yeah.
You know, very, like I said, a lot of energy.
Yeah, and like what I think is cool is like, so he's got a bunch of things going on, and he's very successful. And he's 15 years in real estate. So why is he going on appointments in person, boots on ground, and not having people show up for him and things like that, which is pretty impressive. And I think that goes to show like that I think it goes to show that like if he wants to show his agents that what he's preaching, he's doing it too.
Right. I think it's probably a personality thing. I mean, some people want to get out of that right away, you know, give the work away, and some people want to stay in it. So yeah, I think definitely personality.
Yeah. What I got out of his, hard work, consistency. If you want to be successful in anything, you just got to be consistent, work hard, not hate on others, do the right thing over and over again, and hopefully, I mean, from what we heard from all our guests, it's pretty much that a good takeaway is being consistent.
Right, day in, day out.
Yeah.
And that's something I think you work toward. I think a lot of us don't start at that point, but I think you work toward that because I think it's hard to even know exactly what to do day in, day out until you get some experience.
Yes. Who is number 2?
Who's number 2?
Yeah. Was it Steve?
The podcast? Oh, we had.
Was it me?
It might have been you, right?
Yeah, we did a little interview on me.
Right.
So skip
cool.
that.
No, I still have a lot of questions to ask.
All right.
We'll get back into that.
Yeah. I think the third one was the jiu-jitsu instructor. That one was unique, obviously, not really in the real estate world, but that small business. And same thing I think we took away from him was consistency. Coming to the States, working hard, showing up every day, and now he's a small business owner.
Yeah, no, and even practicing that martial art is about being consistent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think getting out of your comfort zone. I think that could also be. I think everyone that we've interviewed had to get out of their comfort zone to get where they are. You think of Kyle. He had to get out of his comfort zone at some point. He quit his full-time job. He was a full-time, financial guy. Had to quit his full-time job, cut all the, whatever they say, cut the ropes. He went to school for it. Probably parents weren't too happy, I'm sure. But he did it, and he was uncomfortable, and he was successful. And then the jiu-jitsu instructor again was talking about how when he was asked to, do jiu-jitsu for the first time, he was nervous, but he got out of his comfort zone, joined the gym. Same thing, I'm sure, with like Walter. I think he was uncomfortable ever.
No, but
Yeah.
that's an interesting
Yeah.
concept too, like stepping out of your comfort zone, because it's not a one-time deal. You step out, you experience either success or whatever. You have an experience, then you it's like maybe one step forward, two steps back.
Yeah.
Because like I've done cold calling, I've called hundreds of numbers, but it's not like I no longer have a discomfort.
Exactly.
cold
Like if
calling.
you were to call today, there'd be a discomfort.
There'd be a hesitation,
Yeah.
procrastination.
Right. Even, I mean, yeah.
Cleaning the refrigerator or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, that's true. So I think that unless you're a real extrovert, most of us aren't.
Yeah.
Unless you're really extroverted, I think it's difficult for all of us, most of us, to cold call, to knock on doors.
Meet strangers every day, talk to strangers. Even with myself, doing real estate for 7 years, if I have an appointment and I've never met the folks before, I'm a little like, I overthink it sometimes. Get the butterflies, right?
Right.
But it doesn't make me cancel the appointment.
No, right. Yeah, I think that's most of us deal with that.
Yeah.
That's part of that's the human condition.
Right.
You know? But they do it. The thing is, these guys have done it, and they'll do it repeatedly. You know what I mean? So they will to do it, and it does strengthen your will when you do things that are not, comfortable.
Right. And when I think of what I also took away from our guests, I think is very positive. Like I think I expressed my goal in wanting to do a flip on almost every podcast, and every single response is, "Oh, that's easy." Right? And then when you're expressing that you want to do X, Y, and Z, a whole say, "Oh, Rob, that's so easy." That doesn't feel easy to me, but I think genuinely, they do look at that goal that we have as being easy.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Well, I think they're saying, like, from their perspective, do it. Just do it. What does it take? Do it. You know what it takes. And I think that you're gonna cross that bridge.
Yeah.
You say, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the research, and then obviously at some point you do have to take the step.
Right. And even with the it started with the Garrett interview and CJ's, but like these connections that we've made through it right now, we're sending out some postcards, and I'm actually connected with the guys at what's the name of them? Anywhere. I'll plug the name right at the top right here. I'm drawing a blank, but All Answers or something like that in Warwick, where they're doing my postcards, and I got this connection from the two podcasts.
Right. It's true. No, it's definitely the podcast is a great way to connect and to educate myself on real estate. And yeah, you're going to see the people that are successful are those that go out repeatedly. They're not like, oh, I didn't do well today. Well, that could be like our friend Garrett. 2,300 calls later.
Right.
You get 2,300 calls.
Right.
It doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But
did you get bacon?
Yeah.
I see him flipping it.
Gonna flip that bacon.
Yeah. But like even to talk about like I know you wanted to start this podcast was really to educate yourself or ask questions to other folks to educate yourself. And I think a topic that I wanted to talk about is the home inspection stuff in the Rhode Island contract. So, the purchase and sales agreement in Rhode Island it's like filled out and it's just fill in the blank, and it's pretty easy to do. But, there's those spots where realtors can kind of try and add language to a contract to make a provision to it, like it's subject to this, and they add it in the blank. And it kind of started during COVID and the really competitive market, where traditionally a buyer has 10 business days to do a home inspection, and the wording in the contract is if the buyer's not satisfied, they can terminate the agreement and get their deposit back.
So that's pretty ambiguous. Satisfied is
right.
What does that mean?
Exactly. So if you've got an inspection done and the light bulb doesn't turn on and you're not satisfied, you get back out and get the deposit back. And, putting yourself in the seller's shoes, if you accept an offer, you have to take your house down off the market. It goes pending. You stop advertising it. So you're losing time now. And then if the property were to ever go back on the market, there's going to be a little question mark, gray cloud over as to what's wrong with this house. Why did it go back for sale? So there'll be a little gray cloud over it always. So it's a risk that a seller takes accepting an offer. So when you get a buyer that places an offer and the seller accepts it, and the buyer just ends up getting pulled.
What's up, everyone? So when I'm not podcasting, I'm in real estate. I'm helping people buy homes. And when people buy homes, they got to get a home inspection. So I have someone I like and trust and use and refer to my clients. That's House Doctor Home Inspections. You can find them pretty much anywhere. They cover Connecticut, Mass, and Rhode Island. You can give them a call. Mike will always answer the phone. It's 401-597-0050. That's House Doctor Home Inspections. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook, website, whatever it is. Thanks, Mike, over at House Doctor Home Inspections. Back to the show.
A family member comes in and talks them out of something, or they just change their mind and they want to back out of the contract. They're within the home inspection period. It's so easy to do so. So during competitive markets, sellers were picking offers that kind of waive their home inspection. They'll take $5,000 less on their home if there's a home inspection waive, because the risk is down of the deal falling apart. But first-time home buyers don't like to waive their home inspection. I don't encourage it, but they've tried to compete with those that do during a competitive market. So realtors put in there this contract. It's subject to a home inspection, but for informational purposes only. So they're trying to say to the seller, they're not going to ask for any repairs or anything. They're just doing it for their information.
Is that brand new?
It's something new as of probably 2020, 2019. And what do you think that means? If you were a seller and it says buyers are doing inspections for informational purposes only, does that make you more happy?
No, I don't know. I mean, that language, I mean, when you start messing with contractual language, it does add something to it. I took contracts in law school for a full year.
Yeah.
And so everything counts. I mean, if you're going to add language to a contract, hopefully it's very definite language. If it's ambiguous,
it's not. It's always just like that. Subject to the buyers doing a home inspection for informational purposes only. And our food's coming too. But we'll pause here. Let our food get delivered. Looks good. Thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you.
You need anything else, guys?
Yeah, my fork dropped. I dropped it by accident.
Forgive you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice. I make sure my fork drops.
Your son would be not happy with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Abby.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Abby.
Your son would be like, "What are you guys eating right now?"
No, he wouldn't care. Eggs. No, eggs.
Oh yeah,
He's
protein.
psyched.
But yeah, so if even still to this day,
Well, let me ask you this. Do you recommend for your buyer to add that?
no,
No.
it doesn't do anything. And here's why.
God bless him.
Yes. Let's say you as the buyer say, I'm doing a home inspection for informational purposes only. You have a home inspection. You see it all. Oh, the light bulb doesn't work out. Doesn't turn on. I want to back out.
How much does it cost the buyer to inspect the house?
About $800. But what's stopping you from backing out? So now you're going to say, oh, I want to back out. My buyer's not satisfied. And then the seller's going to be like, oh, but you said you're doing it for informational purposes only. You can't back out. When the buyer's like, yeah, I'm going to back out. I got my information. And it says I still can back out. And they just back out. Then the seller's going to be like, all right, what's the issue? I don't want to go back into the market and get that gray cloud over the property. What's the issue? Maybe we can agree on something. Oh, this is wrong. We'll be happy if it was fixed. It's like $1,000 repair. Just if you fix that, we'll move on. Seller goes, okay, fine. Seller drops the property.
Does that go in writing?
Yeah, that agreement goes in writing.
Okay.
The agreement of the repair, the credit. But this whole thing was, it's for informational purposes only. How is the seller all of a sudden stuck in a position where he's giving?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
really, that language doesn't mean anything.
So whenever I get that, I go the extra mile when I'm representing the seller. I say, hey, inspection for informational purposes only, and the buyers will not get their deposit if they decide to back out. They're always like, no, we're not doing that. Then you're doing a home inspection.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Right.
You follow that?
Yeah. So you could add that in too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not the case.
Yeah, no, they're not doing that. And
Right.
it's so like another crap. What I do with the buyers typically is I'll do the buyers agree to not back out of the contract and not get their deposit back, but they're going to have a home inspection, and the only way they can get that deposit back is if an item on their inspection report is listed and it needs to be repaired or replaced, and it would cost blank amount of money to do so. So they have the home inspection. If let's say there's 50 pages and every repair is like $500 fix, they have to proceed, or they would lose their deposit. They're showing the seller they're not worried about fixing light bulbs, handles, and knobs, and paint and nicks, and they're only inspecting to cover hot water tanks, heating systems, bigger ticket items. So that's been helpful.
That's good. That's good information for both the seller and the buyer. You know what I mean? That's good information.
You've been on a couple inspections, right?
Yeah, and plus I've had houses inspected.
How was your experience? So before you got into real estate, you were involved in transactions?
Yeah.
What were some of were you stressed? Do you remember?
Not really.
No.
Nah, it all works out.
So, what value do you think a seller's agent really has? Do you think you could? Do well, now you're licensed to do it, but before, did you ever contemplate for sale by owner, or did you feel like that you couldn't do that, or is that something?
Yeah, that wasn't part of the landscape for me,
No.
because that's not, like my siblings. I have 6 siblings. They've always used realtors and recommended realtors, so it was just it was a given. Like if I sell this house, I'll go through so and so and family friend. So no, and there is kind of like that reassurance that they're going to know exactly the flow of things.
Right.
Whereas, as a home seller or buyer, I don't know the flow. And so I can lean on them, which is kind of reassuring.
Yeah. And I don't doubt, and especially the peak of COVID, and even still to this day, a for sale by owner, if they put it on Zillow.com, I'm sure they could get an offer. But I don't think once the offer's in their email, they can get an offer to their email. I think that's pretty easily to attain. But getting an offer structured to be in your best interest, getting it to the closing table is a whole other game. Dealing with financing, like if I had a house for sale and there's some peeling paint, and I accepted an offer that was so good, looked so great, and all of a sudden it needs the property didn't appraise because of peeling paint. For sale by owner, someone that sells 1 or 2 homes in their life, doesn't know to look out for those things. As a real estate agent, I would say, here's what to expect if you go with this offer. Here's what you expect if you go with that offer. So really breaking down each offer is so important. And even if I'm trying to sell a condo by itself, a lot of for sale by owners probably aren't aware there has to be a condo questionnaire filled out from the buyer's lender. So a cash offer is so great. Or if a buyer comes in and sends an offer on my condo and it's an FHA loan, but me as a for sale by owner didn't really look at that care. I don't even know what that means. I just see there's a bank letter here saying they're approved for a loan. Well, if the condo's not FHA approved, they can't get financing on it. So you'd be wasting your time accepting that,
Right.
So there's a lot of things like that. After you start doing transactions and always learning in class, and you get to learn these things and provide for the client.
Let me ask you this. So you were licensed in what year? 2019 or
18?
2018. And then over the course of the next 2 years, you studied for your brokerage license. Is that true?
In 2021, I studied for the brokers.
Okay. And so how much did that help you as far as how well did that inform you going forward? Was it information that was really helpful? No.
I think it was just an update on its pre-licensing, I felt like, pretty much, again.
Really was similar?
Yeah. So I think it was a good refresher on some laws and how to do things by the book, and it just sharpened those tools a little, but it didn't give me a leg up. I've never got a listing or piece of business because I hold a broker's license. It didn't teach me really anything more in depth, at least for me anyway.
Okay, that's interesting. But it gave you context, I'm sure, because like after you entered the career, now you're practicing. So then when you take a course, you're like, oh, that's what this means.
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
When it's the pre-license, there's no context.
Yeah,
Unless
how
your
was that for
parents.
you?
No context.
Yeah,
I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I just studied the laws and I studied the book that they gave us.
Mm-hmm.
And I like books, so but it didn't give me like a sense of. Even the other day, I was writing out a postcard. Okay, this is interesting. So in 2019, my two sons and my oldest daughter, or my oldest child, we sat down at my son's house, and we're going to do off market. And so we had a bunch of postcards.
When was this again?
2019,
Yep.
maybe, just pre-COVID.
Yep.
And we're writing, dear buyer or dear whatever homeowner, and I didn't really have much context writing those postcards.
Yeah.
But now as a realtor, when I'm writing postcards for possible off market or even listings, it just means a little bit more. Like I understand it. Not, you know what I mean? It's not a big it's not an epiphany,
Right.
but I understand what I'm writing. Okay, and this is what I can offer you.
Right.
So there's,
Yeah.
so the experience does help. You know what I mean?
How is that going? The off market grind.
I think it's just a matter of repetition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
When was your last appointment?
Last appointment was like in the late 1800s.
Yeah. Is it New Year's Eve or day or something like that?
Oh yeah,
Was it that
yeah,
one?
New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an interesting appointment. I think my son's still calling them.
Really? Was that the guy you Walter was there or something to do with Walter?
Walter owns two properties right next door to that
Mhm.
that house,
Mhm.
and it's a any house around PC is a good
Yeah.
house.
Mm-hmm. Does Isaiah see a slowdown in this time? Is there slow markets for him?
Well, they have inbound leads,
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's consistent.
Mhm.
There's always some lead he's going out to see. So
Right,
I
right.
think it's more consistent because they have things in place.
Right. And now, if you guys don't know yet, Isaiah's Rob's. We reference him often. It's his son, and he deals with a lot of wholesaling, off-market stuff.
He does acquisition.
Yep.
So and he enjoys that. So I don't know exactly, but I know they're busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Mosses.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing how many deals a month? He said 10 to 12 or more.
The only number that stuck with me is 50,000 postcards every week.
When he said that, I went home and ripped up all my postcards.
Oh my God.
And I just sat there and cried. I was like 50,000.
Well, even that goes to show you have to spend money to make money. Because the first thing I did is went home to order postcards, saw the pricing for my postcards, given he might have got a discount for quantity, and did some math and kind of get an idea of what this guy's spending just on postcards is insane. It came out to like over $1 million a year just for postcards. Never mind anything else he does, but he's spending money to make money. He wouldn't be spending that if it didn't work.
No, and they're scaling up, and then that's also, I think, very unique. It's unique to the person. Like, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? And he was even saying that about that national organization that he wants to,
Right.
that you have to be here, and they're not quite there.
I thought that was cool too. How you do see there's different theories, and some people say with tough times January, February, for me it's slower. And you see guys say you got to make it work. So if real estate's slower, maybe you're grinding away at another little small thing you have going on. Can I have some more coffee, please? I know one guy, he owns a couple businesses. I saw him at the barbershop. He's a little bit slower right now. So it's giving me time to kind of start out maybe another small little niche business helping people advertise to try and offset some slow times. Perfect.
Sure.
it shouldn't hurt.
That's cool. Thank you.
So Dave said you guys crack your eggs, huh?
Yes,
All
we do.
the eggs. That's
We
great.
do crack our eggs. The scrambled eggs are mixed, but we crack them in the morning.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
it is pretty
Yeah.
good. We just switched to farm fresh eggs,
Nice.
local,
Yeah.
because of all the bird flu. But I think that's better,
Yeah.
than what we were getting local
Right.
farm fresh eggs from Rhode Island.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. So like, but then there's CJ.
They crack their eggs.
They crack
as
it over a
opposed-
bowl. They usually, like a couple of breakfast places I ever worked at, there's massive cartons they buy that's pre-scrambled eggs. So they just pour it, and then they crack every egg over a bucket every morning for these eggs.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
They crack their eggs.
Yeah.
That's good, I don't like the shell.
But what I was saying is, but then there's CJ. How I love how he said, "Hey, if I'm the best, if I'm Tom Brady, best at and trying to strive to be the best quarterback in the NFL, he's not playing MLB baseball either. He's not, trying to be the best hockey player. He's staying in his lane and doing the best. And he's like, there's levels that he still can. There's still work to be done in his field. Like he's super successful, but hey, in his group, he's not number one, so he's got to get there. And when he gets to number one, I'm sure there's another group he can join where he's the smallest in that group, and he's got to be number one and continue to.
Right.
That was cool. I do agree with that because like real estate is slow right now, and if I wanted, what's stopping me from saying, hey, Mimi's Cafe, I want a part-time job. I want to serve breakfast in the morning. I find business is down right now, and I could try and supplement some income. Instead, you want to take that slow time and network or plan for, whoa, what's going on? All right, sorry about that. Sorry, guys. Anyway, yeah, you want to continue to grind away,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always find that it's interesting. I mean, I'm not, I don't know.
No, I know what
Is
you're
there a
saying.
prize at the end? I don't know.
Right.
And I started reading that Diary of a CEO. That's another thing too. We should start.
Was it good? Do you recommend I read it?
Not yet. Let me get through a little bit more. So right now I'd say, but I'm only like chapter 2, but I'd say no, it's a little stereotypic. You know what I mean? So what appeals to one person may not appeal to another person. I do think a lot of the self-help books are very repetitive.
Yeah.
I enjoy reading some of them. I think some of them are helpful. But again, they're repetitive. It's about, it's also very Western, it's like super like, individualistic as opposed to like the common good. So it's very, very American, be the best. And it's all about, about the individual as opposed to the individual in relationship. What's good for me and good for you. I know that Kyle spoke about that. And, but I think that it's important to know that we are a substance in relationship, much more philosophical, as opposed to like, what can I get out of this? And where does that end? Where does that end? Like, at what point are you satiated? Never. Because wealth, fame, power can't satiate, can never fulfill you. You can get to a spot and there's always something else.
So yeah, it's that's like that's what stinks about sales. It's like you have a.
What's going on, everyone? So you already know, right? If I'm not podcasting, I'm in real estate, and I need someone to help my clients get a mortgage, get a house, right? And I got John Dolbec. He's crushing it. He's got a team called a Modern Team over at Primary Residential Mortgage. If you want to get pre-approved and buy your first home, reach out to John Dolbec and his team. Call or text. It's 401-321-4401. That's 401-321-4401. Back to the show.
You always say, like I've always said to myself, I remember the days where I'm like, when I do 15 units, I'll be so happy.
Yeah.
I got to 15. Like, what the hell? This Kyle's doing 500. Not saying I want to be Kyle, but there's so much more. I got to do 40. Then you do 40, and it's like, that's kind of lame. Like I need to do more. It's just never fulfilling.
Right. So in other words, I mean, you have to provide for your family.
Right.
So that's almost like something that is not going to fulfill you.
Mm-hmm.
So you do that. So what things in your life do you do that are fulfilling?
Right.
You know what I mean? So instead of identifying with that and saying, well, if I hit these numbers, I'm going to be a certain type of person. That's not really. It's almost like a fantastic.
I think what's super fulfilling to me, traveling. I like travel time.
Yeah.
Family memories. That's good stuff. You
There's-
travel
A little bit.
a little bit.
I'm not a big traveler per se, but I do love to get to the
Now, do
destination.
you still think? Do you believe like traveling is still the wrong enjoyment or goal?
Well, the goal, I think.
Right.
I mean, I know, like, so Aristotle says, everyone desires what? What do you think he says?
Everyone says money, right? Desires money.
Okay, Aristotle says everyone desires happiness. So people might say, "Oh, money's going to bring happiness," but
Yeah.
he would say, even if someone's doing something that's hurtful to themselves, at the bottom of that that motivation is that it's still seeking some type of happiness.
Mhm.
So I would agree with that. I do
Mhm.
believe that that we're made to be happy.
Mhm.
I know some people say, "Oh, that's not really." Maybe it's more subjective that maybe you're made to be happy, but I'm not. But I believe everyone is made to be happy.
Mhm.
And so what's gonna provide that happiness? That's really the quintessential question in life. What's going to make me happy? So you're just saying like 14 houses didn't make you happy.
Right.
But you said 40 didn't make you happy either.
Right.
And so now you're looking
Yeah.
for something else.
Mhm.
Maybe traveling.
Right.
Maybe the
Do
family.
you remember what age point in your life you felt most happiest, or is it right now? Yeah, like a.
Well, I think certain things are definitely fulfilling. But again, when I say things don't satiate you, because what's the end point? The end point is to be in relationship with God
Mhm.
beyond this life. So this life, nothing in this life can give you that sense of like, oh, I'm going to hold on to this, because you can't.
Right.
Even a love relationship, you can't hold on to it.
Right. Mhm.
So it's always something transcendent beyond us, And I think your generation is like, I hear it though. They're hungry for that. Even as a school teacher, in the public sector, I'd have high school kids ask me about God, about different things, and because they're hungry for something that's permanent.
Right.
Everything else is fleeting.
Yeah.
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 So if you did 14, that's awesome. If you did
Right.
40, that's awesome. You know what I
Right.
mean? But I don't think it has anything to do with who you are.
Mhm.
I think who you are is way beyond anything you can achieve. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I laugh when like these professional athletes win a title and like, yes, this is like everything I thought it would be. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
You put in more hoops than the other team. Like,
Right.
they're almost saying what's expected of them.
Right.
But tomorrow you're gonna be like, oh, let's get
I
back
gotta
in the
win
gym.
next year. Yeah.
So
Right.
where does that end?
Right.
So it's interesting. I think if we're really sincere and say like, none of this makes us nothing. It's fulfilling, and it's like, and I don't think I think God wants you to fulfill your potential,
Mhm.
but it's not going to bring some type of your head's not going to pop.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think fulfillment is very simple.
Mhm.
It's in the simplest things.
Yeah.
In relationships.
Yeah. Like even at nighttime, I find myself getting when it's like that 7-8 o'clock p.m. so bored, which is not good. I'm with my family, but I just get so bored. I got to work on that. Being happy and present with the family. Yeah.
That's very important to be
Yeah.
present,
Yeah.
because that's all you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I'm always worrying about work. Oh, I'm slow. I need to go on my phone. I need to find something to post. I need to reach out to someone. And it's like 8 p.m. and I'm like bored. I need to be at a showing. I can't, kind of thing.
Right.
Where I need to be happy to be with my kids in the playroom, coloring.
Yeah, because those days
Yeah,
go like this,
yeah,
Jason.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I look at my family now, and like, it's amazing how quickly I got here.
Right.
And how soon I'll be in a box.
Yeah.
Life goes like this.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, you're young, and
yeah, I actually had a question for you on this
Sure.
topic. So knowing your sons,
Yeah.
super hardworking,
right.
good guys. Thank you.
And there's no rush.
All right, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. And it's like, how did you get that? How did you get them to that point? They're consistently both good, hardworking kids.
Yeah. Well, I think that was never like my intent. It was more like so they're both in law enforcement, and I was like, be a phys ed teacher,
Yeah.
So I was definitely not like promoting that.
Yeah.
They're like, shut up, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll arrest you.
Yeah. What got your sons into that? Is there family? Oh well.
Well, on
Dad's
my
dad.
side, yes, my cousins were police officers. My uncle on my mom's side was a major in Providence, and then on my wife's side, her cousins, like 1, 2, 3, 4 of them were in law enforcement.
Yeah.
I don't know if they
I
had a
don't know.
bearing on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law also is a cop, or was a cop,
Mhm.
but not for me.
Mhm.
I was always like, be a phys ed teacher.
Yeah.
You get to wear shorts, you have a whistle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hold a cup of coffee all day. It's awesome.
Right.
They're like, no. I would say this though. You know, we always went to church. You know what I mean? So they had a very Catholic upbringing, and we weren't dogmatic. We just, this is how we live. This is what we believe. You know, and so that was always part of their upbringing. And then, you know, I was a basketball player, so I coached them in basketball. Both of them weren't like, they didn't love academics. You know what I mean? So it was more
Did
like,
you force that on them, or
not really.
no? Yeah.
No, my daughter was more academic, and then my younger daughter's like more artistic. But I think it's all about just instilling your values, and then just letting them have the freedom to grow.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like I said, their career choices were like antithetical to my career choice.
Right. Yeah.
You know, as an English teacher, as a writer,
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
And I've even gone on ride-alongs with like my cousins, and in Providence, and I was like, I could never do this.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know, shots fired.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I'll stay in the
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah. Oh, how were you guys when they were like getting to be 17? Were you was like, oh, curfew?
no, forget
No?
it. No, because I didn't grow up with a curfew.
Yeah.
I'm from 7. My parents never had curfews, nothing.
Yeah.
They just, my parents just let us do a lot
Yeah.
of freedom.
Yeah.
So no, we weren't like, we wanted to know where they were,
Right. Right.
but no.
That's cool.
They just pray that
Yeah,
they get home.
that's
you know?
right,
What
yeah.
are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows?
What's next?
But what do you want for your daughters? You have beautiful twins, right? What are their names?
Halana and Camila.
So what do you want for them?
What I
Like,
want for them?
yeah, I mean, as a
I
father,
I want them, I don't know, respectful, smart, hardworking, close family, I guess. I don't know, like happiness.
yeah.
Obviously, I don't want them getting into the wrong crowd. Obviously, I don't want them giving up on the family or, you know, betraying the family, whatever, getting distant. I love them to stay close by always, but
Right.
I don't know. That's a tough question.
Those are good values, though. That's what that's what you want. You
Yeah.
want your children to always be best friends, and
Right.
plus they're twins, right?
Yeah.
My mom was a twin.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her twin died when she was like 32.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big loss.
Was it? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. When your wife was 32?
No, when my mom was about 32, she lost her twin.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big loss.
It's a big loss, yeah. A lot of food, man.
Come on, Rob.
Can
Come
I take
on.
this with me?
Yeah.
All right, let's just go over these questions.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to say these are actually AI generated.
Okay.
Okay, my question was, what questions would you ask a realtor as a guest on a real estate podcast? And these are the 25 questions they came up with. So I'll just give them to you and you give it back to us.
All right.
All right. These are general real estate market questions. How would you describe the current state of the real estate market in Rhode Island?
Lack of inventory.
What's the inventory right now?
Probably about 750 single-family homes. I think once it hits 2,000, it will be more of a buyer's market, but we're far away. It's a seller's market with the lack of inventory.
Wow. Do you see it increasing or no?
No.
No.
I think this spring market will suck up the whatever inventory kind of comes on during February, March, early April, end of April, and the rest of the months. That spring market's going to suck up whatever inventory comes on.
Really?
Yeah, inventory usually comes up a little around August, September, October. Might hit 1,000 something, and then during the slow winters. Thank you. What?
With that?
No, dude, we're good.
All right. Okay, what trends are you seeing in home buying and selling this year? Any trends so far?
what trends am I seeing? Well, I mean, just by speaking to Kyle and Walter and even CJ, they were saying that. Thank you so much.
You let me know if you need that.
Okay, thank you. They kind of let me know where the beginning stages of my career, I was always told buy multifamilies, get units. But Kyle, CJ, Walter, stay away from 2, 3, 4 units. Only touch it if it's of a 5-unit plus. So that could be an investor trend to look out for. If it's a 5-unit plus, go for it. But an on-market multifamily home that's a 3-family is going to get outpriced. It's not going to cash flow due to the bidding wars, and it's just tough.
What would that go for, like say in Pawtucket? So a 3-unit.
A 3-unit in Pawtucket, north is 700.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay. I see why.
Yeah.
But if you can get a deal, you take it.
Yeah,
right?
if you got a deal, take it. Ultimately, if the numbers work,
Yeah.
it works. But it's still is an awesome opportunity for first-time home buyers to bring their monthly mortgage payments down.
Absolutely.
Because the rents in the other units help.
Right. I definitely agree with that. How do interest rates impact buyer behavior?
Yeah. So as interest rates help buyers' affordability. So if I have a home and I like it, you run it through the lender's going to take the current interest rate and say, hey, the monthly payment's like $4,000 right now. Let's say 5 months go by, you take the same house, the same price, the interest rate's now not 7, it's 4%. The monthly payment might be $600 cheaper just because of that rate. So buyers can afford more when the rates are lower, and when the rates go up, they can afford less.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So as soon as if those interest rates, which I don't think they will, but if
they're not going to drop,
I don't think they will. A drop to me is if it's a 7 right now, it's a 6.9. That's not I don't count that as a drop. It's just fluctuated a little, but it's not going to go down 0.25%. I don't think within the next 8 months.
All
but
right.
if it did, it's just going to create more buyers, and the inventory is so low as it is, it's going to be a mess.
All right. What's the biggest mistake a first-time home buyer can make?
Buying a house without a real estate agent. No, that is a mistake. But I think the first-time home buyer biggest mistake is maxing out their budget and buying it. So if the lender says, "Hey, you're pre-approved up to like 500," and that buyer buys a house for 505, biggest mistake. House poor, tight payments. If the market were to ever shift a little and the values came down, they'll be upside down.
Okay.
What's going on, everyone? So when I'm not podcasting, I'm in real estate, and there's a lot of times where I need to, refer out an excavator, someone to do clean outs, gravel, grading, digging, stuff like that, junk removal. So if any of you ever need any of that type of work taken care of, reach out to Tom at Legacy Excavating at 401-227-5399. Reach out to Tom. He'll take care of you. Back to the show.
All right, so be careful of that.
Yeah.
All right. So how has technology changed the way realtors operate in the past 10 years, or even the past 5 years?
Okay. Technology, how we conduct business. I mean, I think obviously they're all on social media now, all doing the silly dances, trying to promote themselves, which is all good things. I think it also created maybe more of a space for collaboration, realtors learning off one another, exchanging ideas. And maybe if you go back 15 years ago or so, maybe even more than that, I think that at one point, there was no MLS. So if you wanted to look at a house, you would need to go to this book that was printed.
There was no MLS.
No. There was this book that was printed. So you would, if let's say you wanted to show buyers a house, you would have to go into the office, ask for the book, get the book. Oh, here's a couple houses they might like. Scan it, bring it to your buyer,
Wow.
and then that's 2 weeks. That book was made 2 weeks ago. It's probably off market already, so it was a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. What's your favorite type of social media as far as to promote your?
I think on Instagram you want to promote to the younger generation using the videos and stuff. But I think if I wanted to be, that's the least professional space in my opinion, Instagram. If you want to be just a little bit more professional, maybe talk about, highlight something on a little bit on a larger scale, I'd go to Facebook. Where if I won an award, it's going to go on both, but I think it's going to perform better on Facebook. But if I did something a little less professional and showed me dancing, I think it's going to go better on Instagram than Facebook.
All right. I don't want to choke here.
Yeah, don't do that. Take a sip.
What are the top 3 things every seller should do before listing their home? So they come to you.
Yep.
The top 3.
So if usually it's you want to declutter. The less things in a home, the bigger it looks. If you have white baseboard paint, white baseboard and trim around doors, maybe touch up your white, really helps things pop. And it depends on the season. If it's nice outside, make sure the mulch beds have some cute little plants in it with fresh mulch. If it's all snow outside, there's nothing you could do about that. Just make sure you clean up your walkways and driveway and salt it before you have showings.
Okay, that's good.
And don't cook before your showings.
No smells.
No fish, fried food. Just
Right.
get takeout, light a candle, keep it clean.
Right. Fry that fish.
Yeah.
All right. What should buyers look for in a home inspection? Now that we've already talked about.
So, what should they look for on the report?
Yeah.
Usually the reports are highlighted from like safety concerns to not. Obviously, look out for the safety concerns. I think non-negotiables, absolutely non-negotiables. If the house is a septic or a well, never waive those inspections. Never. I would never do it. I'm to a point where I can look at a house pretty well and feel comfortable waiving an inspection. But if it has a septic and well, you have to get that tested.
Now, those separate inspectors?
Yeah, you have to be licensed and qualified to do a septic and well. If the inspector holds both, then he can do both. But usually it's 2 different companies or whatever.
That's interesting. What's your advice for buyers in a competitive market like our present market?
Make sure your pre-approval letters are up to date. So if I'm making an offer today on a house, you want your bank to give you a letter saying you're pre-approved to buy on the date you're submitting the offer. So don't say, oh, I have a pre-approval I used last weekend when I made an offer on a house. I'm going to just use that letter and attach it to my offer I'm making this week. No, get an updated letter.
Really?
Yes. That makes a difference. Just showing the seller you're approved to buy today versus you're approved to buy last week. Something could have changed in the past week. So just make sure it's updated. You really want your deposit to try and get it to 2 to 2.5% of what you're offering. The higher your deposit, the stronger buyer you are. And I would just say over communicate with the listing agent. So make sure your realtor is communicating a lot, build a good rapport. If you go into a house and you like it and you're about to leave the house, make sure you say bye to the listing agent. Thanks for your time. Don't just leave out the back door and the listing agent's like, oh, where'd they go? They left already? Weird. They didn't say bye.
Yeah.
Then you submit an offer. She might be like, what? You know what I mean? So just over communicate with the listing agent.
All right. So let's go back to the deposit.
Yep.
All right. So you the buyer comes in, likes the home, and has an updated letter from the bank.
Yep.
And so if you're the buyer's agent, do you tell them how much they should put down?
Yeah.
Or you do?
I would say I recommend and advise you put close to 2 to 2.5%. Right. The higher percentage amount you put down, the stronger you'll look. But I understand if you can't make that happen because money is tied up right now. But you really want to be around 2%. And if they can't, they can't.
Okay.
But they do know.
So on the seller's side, if someone puts down say 5%,
that's good.
That's really good.
Yeah. Hey, seller, look, they're putting up a big chunk of change here to put up at risk if they decided to ever back out of this contract. You'd get to keep that if it's within the contract. So they're serious. Or if someone were to go on a contract and give you $2, they could back out and lose $2. That's not good. If your neighbor's house went up for sale and they like that better, they'll just go put an offer on that house. What's to lose? $2, whatever.
Right.
You know.
Okay, that's cool. All right. Let's see. What are the best types of properties for first-time investors? We just said this, right?
I mean, I'll just quote Walter. He probably knows better than I. I'll quote Walter, and I guess I'll just say mine. But Walter's saying condo. They're more affordable. They're less maintenance. So that's a good route for a first-time investor. But I'm gonna say still a multifamily, but make sure you get it maybe off market or at a good price. Because ultimately, you got a 3-family for free, or you got a condo for free. Which one are you taking? I'm taking the multifamily for free.
Right.
It's going to be worth more, and you're going to cash flow better. So
Right.
try and go for those multi-stills, first-time investors. Just try and get the good price.
Right.
And how do you do that? Find it without competition. So supply and demand drives prices. The demand's low means not a lot of people did see the house and knows it's for sale. So you got to go off market, and then hopefully get a good price.
So some people might be like, well, I don't want to deal with tenants. What would you say to them?
It's not as bad as you think, maybe. Watch some YouTube videos, read the Rhode Island handbook on the tenant landlord law book. If you're still scared, just hire a property management company, and make sure take that cost into effect. And if you're still cash flowing and you have a property management company in place in your budget, it should be fine.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a problem. I've
Yeah.
had great tenants.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've only had one house, 2-family, and the same tenants. I inherited them, but they're great. I treat them with respect. They like me, so.
That's awesome. Okay, it says here, what inspired you to become a realtor?
So growing up, my father was a small business owner. My grandfather was a small business owner. So
They own the same place or no?
No.
No.
So all I knew is small business. Them working for themselves. They want to go on vacation, they could. No one's in charge of them. No one's haunting them, calling them. So got to be a point where I was like 16, and I knew I did not want to own my father's business, which I probably could have, took down. Didn't like it. Didn't want to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, all right, what can I do? So I went to corporate America a little, and I realized, working hard, just like I would from my dad, and they don't really. It's not working. Something's not working. So I'm like, what can I do to be a small business owner? At the age of 21, I don't have $500,000 to buy equipment and the space and the building. I didn't have it. So real estate, it's $2,000 upfront cost, give or take, and you can be a small business owner.
So it was a process. Boom, boom, boom. As you grew, you're like, okay, I know I want to work for myself.
Yeah, I did. I was a DJ for a little, so I DJ'd working for myself. There's a bunch of random things I tried doing, cutting hair. I thought of that, but I knew I wanted to be my boss. I wanted to work for myself.
That's what CJ said. He said, I knew I didn't want to work for someone.
And that was definitely due to my upbringing.
Yeah. I grew up in a very blue-collar house, My dad worked in a mill, and then he was a bus driver later in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so it was very blue-collar. Like, my parents like, get a job, push carriages, do something, what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't matter, cut lawns.
Right.
So that definitely wasn't part of my, like, the work ethic that I wasn't around that work ethic. You know what I mean? My father was never, with 7 kids, he wasn't going to take a risk.
Right.
He wasn't really a risk taker.
And I don't know who knows, but if my dad was a professor and my mom was a nurse, would I want to be a small business owner? I don't know.
It's hard to say.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Handing the keys. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's cool.
That or telling the client's offers accepted.
Well, that's cool too.
It's tough telling them the offers accepted. I like to not act excited because real estate's real estate. Anything can happen. Deals fall apart all the time. So I want to set that expectation. But the best part is the closing, seeing them so happy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Better than that.
Yeah, that's cool. What about it says, how do you differentiate yourself in a competitive real estate market? So how do you set yourself?
Yeah, I think over communicate. I think I communicate great, and I think that I'm not the type to slap paperwork on the hood of a car and scribble things over the car. And I have Zoom calls, I have consultations. I go the extra mile with breaking down costs. What's it going to cost you to buy this house? Here's my Excel sheet I made to formulate it. I felt like that was missing. A lot of realtors just put an offer in, hope if it gets accepted, congratulations, let's go into contract. But before my client goes under contract, they have an idea of what the payment's going to be, what the closing costs look like, all that. And even just small things like today, with the seller, I have a condo listing. It's dark in there. I've heard that a few times. So I took a lamp out of my house and brought up the lamp with me, stuck it in. There's a lamp now. It brightened it up. Well, would other realtors do that? I don't know. I'm sure a few would, but you have to just continue to not be lazy, think outside the box, and overwork and over communicate.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, and what's one myth about real estate agents that you'd like to debunk?
All right. Let's talk about this, I guess. I think we'll talk about commissions a little bit because that's a new thing. Ever since COVID, give or take, around that time, where people would always think like if you use an agent to help buy a home, the seller pays for it, and the buyer's agent never really had to talk about what their fees and costs are to their client. I mean, which they should have, because ultimately they are paying for it. But now, I want to debunk the fact that buyer agency is not free. The sellers don't really pay for it. You're still paying for it through the purchase price and all that. So if you want to use a buyer to buy a home in Rhode Island, if you need the service is there. Here's the cost. And same thing with the sellers. If you want to sell your house in the state of Rhode Island with a real estate agent, you need service and help. Here's the cost, and we'll sell your home. You're paying the buyer pays for the buyer's agent, the seller pays for the seller's agent.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And what's the average? Is there a commission? Wow, dude.
Like mimosa flames.
That's nuts, dude. What's the average commission for a listing agent?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
What about a buyer's agent?
Yeah, same thing. I would say it's between I don't know. Everyone's cost is different. What I charge is what I believe is the cost to run my company and provide for my family, where someone else might be able to do something cheaper or more expensive because their costs aren't as expensive. I think it's typical to be on the list side, you're paying the seller's agent between 1% to 4%, and on the buy side, let's just say the same thing, in that range.
Okay. So as low as 1% sometimes?
I'm sure it happens. I've done it a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends.
Yeah, depends on the situation.
What is going on? Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sometimes you want more numbers, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know someone well.
Yeah.
So 1%.
Or typical another situation where you're helping a seller. I'm helping a seller right now, and they've only owned the home for about 7 months, so they didn't make much money on it, if any. The market might have switched a little. He wants to sell, and if he sells, he's going to lose money and not be able to pay his mortgage back. So it'll be a short sale if I take these fees. So I'm at a point where it's like, I'll just do it for free just to help you sell. Like I can't charge you where you're not going to be able to pay off your mortgage if you sell.
That's cool.
So it just depends.
Like pro bono.
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. Okay. Where's the market heading in the next, it says 5 years. Let's say next 2.5 years. Where's it heading? Who knows? With Trump in office.
Yeah, I don't know. Where it's heading, I'll maybe back into it. This year, I think it's going to be a seller's market for 2025. Next year, there's got to be some sort of interest drop, I think, within the next 3 years, as in go back to the fives for a little bit. And if it does that, I think it's going to create more of a seller's market. So I think it'll remain a seller's market for the next 4 years.
All right,
I don't know.
All right, that's it. That's all I
it.
got. Empty. Well, one of my favorite meals is breakfast or brunch. This is very good. More than I could
Big
handle.
portions.
Yeah.
Home fries are really crisp. I love that. You just go to some breakfast places. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the mushy home fries.
No. I'm not
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, these
I
French
make the
fries.
best home fries.
You do?
Oh yeah. I do a lot of cooking.
But yeah, no, good spot here in East Greenwich once again. Mimi's Cafe. They even have a nice little coffee bar, so if you just want to come in and get coffee and stuff.
And right next door, he's got his own ice cream shop,
Ice cream
right?
shop. Yep.
Gigi's.
Yeah.
Mimi and Gigi.
That's right.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. All
And we met the owner, right?
Yep.
Dave is awesome.
Dave's awesome. Noel also runs this place. Too young, hungry.
Yeah, really
Guys.
interesting. Yeah, we should get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
As far as because he's got a lot going on.
Nothing to say.
a lot to say, a lot